interested in looking at priesthood from a very early age, probably fifth or sixth grade. And one of the things that it was very fortunate in our town. I grew up in Lamont, Illinois. The Vincentians were there, and they had a minor seminary there, about a mile from my house. But they used to help out at our parishes in town, which were all diocesan. The other part that had a part to play in the whole thing was the Dominican sisters we had at the parish in religious education. They were big on stressing the fact that we were very special being kids in the public school. These sisters were saying, you have a special role to play in the church. You need to show other people how Catholics live, and what the kind of example that we could give to them was very important as far as they were concerned. That was a big attraction to me as well. The last 7 years have been spent in Anchorage, Alaska. And one of my favorite memories is just the fact of how diverse it is up there. We have one of the third most diverse high school in the country. There are people from all over the world there. And that always appeals to me, the cultures and all of that, because, it's sort of that idea, Vincentian idea, that you go to a place not to bring Christ, but to find Christ there. And to be able to find Christ in all those different cultures was a really important one. Don't be afraid to check it out. Call and see if you can find a vocation director and stuff. I think one of the things I've realized is people have a fear of making that first contact. And they also have this fear that if they get into the seminary or get into a house of formation and they decide it's not for them, that is somehow of a failure. I've reflected on that a lot, because so often when you ask somebody, they tend to back off a little bit because they're a little afraid of starting the process, because they think they have to be totally sure at that point. Whether the guy stays or leaves, one of the things I've noticed is I have a number of classmates I still stay in touch with who left the seminary, and they're incredibly good lay people these days, and they're well educated, they have a sense of church, and they're a big help to the church today. So leaving is not a failure. At least you figured out one thing you don't want to do, but you can still use that information in being a good member of the church.